Listen, welcome to TFG Tonight. I'm your host, Mr. Haynes. Everybody in that place. But once he out of here, guess what? Pop! And all of us coming down. That's why I had to go and talk about Ivanka right quick, because they coming to sell this.
Oh,
And
this is what I love about President Barack Hussein Obama. No matter what, he kept it 100.
Wow. I was just going to bring that up.
That's right. Yeah. So listen, if my company told me that I had to do something that I said, man, that's a little, we tripping. I mean, bro, half the country voted for a man that took diversity out of employment. Half the country voted for that man. What's up, everybody? Good evening, good morning, good night, and all those other time zones, right? Hey, y'all, welcome to the last edition of TFG Tonight for the year 2020. Come on, let's give it a round of applause. Yeah, right. We're ready for that thing to get up out of here, right? Y'all, listen, I'm excited. We're going to go out in 2020 with a bang tonight. We have an amazing thing, but y'all know before we get started, y'all know what we got to do tonight, right? We got to keep up with the Trumps. Guess what? We got breaking news. Trump decided to sign the stimulus package. Y'all hear that? That's everybody saying so, right? And and the deal is, y'all, it's a good thing, right? We shouldn't trip. Listen, never bite the hand that feeds you, right? No matter how big or how small. We appreciate the gesture, right? People don't have to be kind, even if the kindness is, giving you the crumbs off the table, right? See the glass half empty, half full instead of half empty, right? So listen, but the thing about Trump, man, he got petty on him, right? He started telling all the business about how much money all the other countries started getting. And y'all, they started getting a whole lot more than $600, right? But guess what? He wants to give us more. And you know what's really funny about this, y'all? He wants to give us more, but guess who doesn't want to give the country more? The GOP. Now, what's really interesting about that is this, y'all. Watch this. They made it seem like they were scared of Trump. But all of a sudden, since Trump finna leave, now don't nobody want to hear what Trump got to say no more. What's up with that? Right? So you mean to tell me y'all have always had this boldness where it didn't matter what Trump said, that you would do whatever you thought was right? Where did this come from? All right. I ain't tripping. But I'm just saying, so now we see they were playing the switch and bait with us, right? Oh, no. Don't want to step on Trump's toes. Okay. All right. So listen, I already said it again. If you didn't get none last year, you ain't getting none now. And the kids are over the age of 17, sorry, y'all not getting that money for them either, right? Yeah, whatever. So, hey, before we get started, y'all, I just want to make it clear that we're going to have a great discussion because, hey, Shauna, thank you for joining me. Because guess what? We've been riding these GOPs all year. Now we're getting ahead in 2021. But I'm telling y'all, we finna catapult this thing, right? And we're gonna start this thing up right. Why? Because we're gonna come after these Democrats. And I brought some people on to help me sort some things out about this, maybe this infighting, maybe this civil war that's brewing, right? That I listen, I told y'all it was coming, right? With these Democrats. And so I'm ready to talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring on some of our guests tonight so that we can have a good discussion about a meeting that took place. What's up, everybody? Look at them. Look at them. You got Lamar. You got Dwayne. You got Madison. You got Ricky One and Dr. Ricky Walton. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Y'all hello. Blessed and highly favored in the Lord.
Oh, listen. Well, we'll see when we get through this conversation. So listen, I just want to say to all what's up, Tam? I just want to say to all of my listeners here, Congratulations on your win. Congratulations.
What's up?
You did a great job.
What's up?
But we got something to talk about tonight, y'all. Listen, there was a meeting that took place earlier this month. Matter of fact, it was December the 8th. Nobody talked about it. I wonder why. But guess who's going to talk about it tonight? We're going to talk about it. Why? Because you guys have 4 years, and we're going to give you all of your space to make whatever decisions you guys want to make, right? But, guess what we're going to do here at TFG tonight? We're going to hold y'all accountable, right? Uh-oh, look at her. Oh, yes, yeah, Tam. We had to leave
Ricky
2020.
OG in the meat remix.
Yeah, look at
Wow.
that. So listen, I just want to first say before we get started, because I know where this could go. So I want to say happy holidays and happy New Year. I love all of y'all, and let the games begin. Madam Producer, let's roll the first video. Let's see if we can talk about this thing.
I want to lift up your historic commitment to racial justice, embodied in your campaign document, Lift Every Voice, and embodied in your statements, the night of your victory, where racial justice was lifted up as one of your 4 pillars. Our job is to help you and to hold you and your administration accountable to accomplish the progress of racial justice. And those twin objectives, helping and holding you accountable, is what we will use to guide this relationship over the next 4 years. To accomplish this objective, you must maximize the number of African Americans in the cabinet, sub-cabinet, and the White House staff, so that people with the lived experiences of racial justice and the professional qualifications are at the big table in the deliberations and the discussions on all issues. We want to affirm that as Americans, every issue is an African American issue. Some issues are of greater importance than others, but every issue is an African American issue.
Also want to really encourage you as you are selecting your positions for statutory cabinet positions, that Black women are represented in those positions, and names that we all have heard, and we've also sent letters to, for Congresswoman Marsha Fudge, or Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, and Karen Bass, and Susan Rice, and others, that Black women who can bring the lived experience and expertise to the table, and how important that is as you round out your cabinet. Lastly, what's happening as we speak around the recovery pact that does not include, unless something happened since we've been talking, paid family and medical leave.
Yes, it does. No, it does include. It does include paid family medical leave.
But does it have enough?
Well, it has more than, I don't think you've read it. It has significant.
Yeah, I've been reading it, and I said something may have happened since, but it was 1.8 million was going to take for 3 months.
So listen. For those that may not have figured out what's happening, it's a meeting that my man Cedric put together with. Cedric is Biden's one of his right-hand men. Cedric put this meeting together for civil rights leaders, and they spent almost 2 hours talking to President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris, and they wanted to address their issues, right? And what they began to do is begin to then share what they thought needed to happen in his cabinet. Now, I know Lamar had something to say about this before. So, Lamar, I want to know, do you still feel the same way about what you thought you saw?
Initially, I only heard sound bites. And the sound bites I heard made it sound as though he said he wasn't going to do much or any more for Black folks. However, once I listened to it in its entirety, that wasn't the case. It's almost as though they are telling him, all right, we got you in, you got to do A, B, C, D. I see why he was frustrated now. At first, I didn't understand why he was so frustrated and defensive in that dialogue. But I get it. I get it now.
Okay, Miss Madison, I'm so appreciative of your time. I want to ask you a question. is this the right way to go about having a conversation with our next president about what we believe we want as a black community?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
yes, it is.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Sure.
Because Joe Biden, and with all due respect to the president-elect Joe Biden, he is a white male of a certain age, and a white male of a certain age with a certain amount of privilege. If he doesn't hear it from us, he's not going to hear it. And he may need to hear it in ways that are uncomfortable for him. You know, when we're all out here in the social media space and we say, you know what, some of the stuff that we say is going to make some of y'all white folks uncomfortable. That's okay. You just have to sit with that discomfort. We're not playing anymore these games of walking around and tiptoeing around. And with all due respect to President-elect Biden, he is a white male of a certain age with a certain amount of privilege. And he may have blind spots despite his best intentions, despite whatever history he has, good or bad. We have to make sure that we are in a space where we can speak freely and let him know these are the things that we believe need to happen. And we can't get into a situation like with the current president where people are afraid to speak freely because of his position. Now, if he can't
Okay.
handle that, that's a bad sign.
Okay. Wait, I got a lot more to ask you, Dwayne. So I'm gonna chime in, but I'm gonna give you a question right quick. Dwayne, I'm gonna ask you the same question. Are they coming at him the right way though? I
I
saw a little
think
contention
they
there.
I think they are coming at him in the correct way. They're coming at him in the most
Hmm.
professional way they possibly could.
Okay.
Because these are issues that have been plaguing the black community for so long. Um, and like Madison said, if you don't tell me, how am I going to fix the problem? I might not be able to fix the problem immediately, but I can start working on the issues that you're having. And that's a problem. That's where we've been for so many years.
Okay.
If it's in my blind spot, I can't see it. But if you bring it right to my face, then I have no other choice but to hear it, see it, and do something about it. Because I put these pillars out here to, as a command philosophy. So I put it out there. So now I got to pay attention to it.
Okay. Okay. So Rick, I got a question for you. Let me ask you this question. Was this a new ask, or did they forget that they had 8 years with a black president? What in the world are they doing that they didn't already have? That all of a sudden, as Madison just stated, he's a white man that didn't know, but he was the same black man for 8 years. What are they asking for differently that they didn't already have? If I can say, Attorney General Holder, did they already have this?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're asking for more representation. I like to go ahead and answer the first question you asked, Madison. Was this is first of all, this is nothing new, right? I appreciate the transparency. Most of the time, these meetings happen behind closed doors. As you can remember, when President Trump got elected, he had all these meetings happen at his Trump Tower. We didn't get to see these meetings, but these are his constituents, right? These are people who voted for him, and that we have a right to demand certain things, right? If you want our vote,
Wow.
this is the reality of it, right?
Demand?
That's right. I mean, it goes for every politician, right? We demand certain things, and if we don't feel that demand was met, we can have our right to vote for somebody else. Uh, and so, this happens with the conservative politicians as well, with the evangelical movement, with the NRA. It's nothing new. It's not different. So I don't think that this is totally out of the norm, right? And I appreciate the transparency. It happened
Oh, we
up
got
front
a
so
lot
people
more to
can
talk
see,
about.
you know. But no, Obama had a diverse cabinet,
Very
but I
diverse.
think, right, I think we're
Mm-hmm.
asking. And listen, we're not the only minorities asking for more diversity in the Biden and Harris administration. The Hispanic community is asking the same thing. The Native American community is asking the same thing. And so it's not nothing new. We want that representation so we can have our needs in our communities met.
Okay, Dr. Walter, I want to ask you this from your perspective. Are we being selfish as Black people to, as Ricky said, demand these things where they've already had 8 years of what they already asked for as it relates to a diverse presidential cabinet, and they feel as though this is the first time this is about to happen. And then on top of that, you have a young lady that's actually going against the president concerning his policies as though she is reprimanding him for not doing enough. Is this really where we're headed? This is the positive.
Well, first of all, he's not president yet. He's president-elect. Secondly, Biden does not have a stellar history or record with Black civil rights, things that were pro-Black before he became vice president. So if you go back in history a little bit and you begin to look at his history, I don't blame them for coming at him the way he has, because he became president because of our vote.
That's right.
Without our vote,
right.
he wouldn't be there.
True.
So I think we have a right to ask him and demand that our voices be heard, not just in the places where they're always on the peripheral, on the outside, but where it matters, in that cabinet room, where the voices of influence, policy making, all that is important. And we've been left out of that no matter who's in the White House. You know, it's not about how much money you got, it's always about power.
Mm-hmm.
Power influence.
Okay.
So
I think it's important too. I think it's important too to understand that asking Biden to be mindful of cabinet appointments and high-level appointments. Biden is not the one that's setting policy per se, right? So if you have representation in, say, the Labor Department or in, the Bureau of Commerce Department or whatever department, if we are leading those departments, then we bring our experiences and our knowledge and our lived experiences and the experiences of our families and our loved ones to that position in the process of setting agendas and problem solving. So we can't separate them from our own experiences. So if I'm in a position of power in a cabinet, whatever solution I come to is brought about is informed by my lived experience, right? Yeah. So I think that their demand that he be very mindful about cabinet level positions. Those are powerful positions that if people of color, if Black people and other people of color are in those positions, we bring naturally our lived experiences to those positions, and there are going to be policies and agendas that are set that are more advantageous to us, not necessarily as a matter of saying, let's put this checklist together, but just as a virtue of who we are in the position.
All right, and I have to agree. Yeah, I agree with what Madison's saying. Like, and we take it to my level. It's like if I'm in a military aspect, like in a maneuver battalion, you have different shops, the 1 through the 6 shop, and normally you find an infantry officer or a combat arms officer as that particular. We'll talk about the 4 logistics because I'm logistics. So usually you have a logistics, you have a logistics commander that runs the 4 support company, but however you'll have a maneuver officer that runs the 4, but the maneuver officer doesn't know anything about logistics. They know the baseline knowledge, but who's the senior most enlisted advisor in the battalion? The FSC commander. So you have to work hand in hand, and then often not to get flip-flopped. So this is kind of like that case right now. Like what Madison's saying, we have to put people in these positions that have that learned knowledge in these positions, and at this time this is what we're demanding and this is what we're asking. It's like the old saying, the taxation without representation. All right, well, you got our vote, represent us now.
Okay. Okay, so hold on. We got a lot to unpack because I'm gonna get there. Let's unpack one more. I got a couple more videos I want to show y'all. But I think y'all may be missing just a little bit about where these folks was headed. So go to the next one, Miss Producer. Let's check out this next video. Let's unpack some more.
My colleague Kristen just said, the work of the Justice Department and federal civil rights enforcement, frankly, has never been more important for this country. And I understand acutely how it transforms America, how it affects real people and real communities. It has been gutted as an institution, but we need an attorney general who is going to lead this agency, who has a demonstrated commitment to and experience in civil rights and criminal justice and police reform. Somebody who I think needs to know the department well, who can pick up from where the Obama-Biden administration left off and then go bolder. There is so much to restore. The Trump administration undid everything pro-civil rights about the Justice Department's work. And we need a new attorney general that's going to be able to step in day one, rapidly restore everything that was broken, and then go much bolder on civil rights and criminal justice reform. Our communities have fought for this. That is something that your administration represents. I was a member of the Biden Standards Unity Task Force with Attorney General Holder on criminal justice reform. I think it's a really robust platform and agenda on these issues, but we absolutely need an attorney general who's got credibility across all of these communities and who can understand the levers of power for our Justice Department. And I can guarantee you with that type of nominee, we will fight for her.
So I want to talk about policing and criminal justice, which is so important to our communities. And this is a set of issues that are very, very volatile and have to be handled carefully. Some of these issues can be handled, we believe, by legislation. Of course, we don't know what will happen in the Senate races in Georgia. And so it's hard to say. We have the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which everyone on this call among our groups worked on and that we think is so important. It's not clear that we have the votes for it, but you know, President-elect, that politics is not about simply saying there are this many Democrats and this many Republicans. The president has power. He has the bully pulpit. He has moral authority. And so we would ask you to lend your voice and your strength and your influence and your power and your ability to reach across the aisle to try and pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. But failing that, we would ask you to pull from that act measures that can be enacted by executive order. You have the power to call for a national database.
And hold on.
I got something.
Is this not coming across as though they're trying to overtake his presidency? Like they trying to tell him what he don't know something.
Can I go first?
They think he. Don't they think that he knows?
We all want to.
Don't they think that Joe Biden knows?
Maybe he does, but maybe he doesn't. And what's the harm if he's sitting there listening to you? Then you have a responsibility to speak up.
Yeah, you got his ear.
But what they act like Eric Holder was in office all 8 years. He was not fired, right? He was there for 8 years. What are we saying? Eric Holder's missed me?
Go ahead.
All due respect to President-elect Biden, he does not have our experience. I don't care how much he's been close to a person of color. He cannot walk in my shoes. He doesn't have my experience. He can't tell me about, criminal justice. And I mean, I know he has empathy for us, but he can never understand that experience from our side. Right. So having those people right there, speaking in terms of our issues becomes vital to our voice being heard. And Biden is okay if he can be on the hot seat with being the vice president of a black president, vice president of a black president. You don't think
the first ever
yeah, absolutely. It was a very difficult position to be in, to speak up, to be second to a black man, but you still cannot own our experience.
Okay, let's go to Lamar, and then we'll go to Ricky and then Dwayne. Let's see what you got.
So I'm a bit torn with this because I'm all for, as I was during the election, like nailing him to the cross as it relates to what are you gonna do why do you deserve the Democratic vote, the black folk vote, the black vote? Why you deserve it? So I'm all for it, to be honest with you, overall. Something that he said in there that I heard, I don't know if it was in that clip though, is that he's not going to use executive orders like Trump does. If there's any pushback on him, he's going to stop. He's not, because it's not, to him, it's not right, it's not legal. I don't like that. I think Trump has opened the curtain and showed there's a whole lot more you can do in that position than y'all have said over the past however many years. A whole lot more you can do. Whether you want to be political and not do it, it's up to you. But there's a whole lot you can do as president. Ain't a whole lot you can't, according to what we've seen Trump do. I don't like that.
Okay, so Ricky, is Joe playing politics with the black folks right now? Y'all say we the one put him in there.
I'm just listening to the conversation, and all I'm hearing is just simple, requests for, listen, justice reform is very important to the black community, especially now than ever, right? And so I don't think what we're hearing is out of the ordinary, right? They're asking to put somebody. You just heard the young lady say that the Trump administration reversed all of the civil rights or police justice reform that was done under the Obama administration. They reversed it all. And so they're asking to put somebody back in that position that can put those things back into place.
Anybody he put in there should, though.
Maybe, right?
Well, not the black folks. Them black folks don't think that.
But
matter of fact, they said they don't just want a black person; they want a black person with civil rights back.
That's right. And
they want Al Sharpton.
But let me ask you a question: what is wrong for asking these? What's wrong for asking things like this? Right? We got a secretary of education, right? That was from the right, that was wanting to be put in the office so they can propel her agenda, and they got done. And so these things are, when we do it, it's like, what is going on? Why is this we're so aggressive? Why are we demanding so much? It's just, this is normal. This is politics. This happens all the time.
But y'all had so much support for him during the election. Y'all like Joe Biden's gonna get it done. And y'all said, no, you don't know.
But listen, Brenton, what I'm saying is this. What we're seeing here is just regular politics. This happens, right? There's nothing out of the ordinary what's going on. Demanding from people who voted for you the things to get done that they want to see for that community, our community, is not out of the norm. Okay, so it's transparency is what you're seeing, right? You're seeing it, a live event of this happening. It's not nothing new. And so yes, we feel like, but they also said in the beginning was holding people accountable. We have to hold the people that we voted in office accountable, so we can make sure. Listen, if you want our vote, this is what you got to do. There's nothing wrong with what's going on. Not nothing new.
All right, Dwayne, go ahead.
So I got two things. The very first thing is, I agree with holding people accountable. You have to hold people accountable. But my thing is, these people that are sitting on this panel, do they really represent us?
No.
And I say that in being transparent.
You don't know these people. How do you know these people?
What I'm saying is, they do not know us. We voted them in these positions, or they're in these positions by vote or election or whatever, or they got the job, whatever means necessary. But my question, the point that I'm getting at is, when are you going to have a normal African American person asking for help? When I say normal, meaning what I mean by normal, meaning somebody like that's in the hood, that's from the ghetto, that is in poverty. When are you gonna actually have somebody that is in jail for a misdemeanor crime, like maybe selling an ounce of weed, that happens to be locked up for the next 10 years, actually be able to say, hey, look, criminal justice reform, I got beat down by this police officer because I had an ounce of weed on me. Now I'm in jail for the next 10 years for what?
You shouldn't have no ounce of weed on you.
But
talk to the local officials.
My point is, we have politicians in place to play the politics. I got it. You know what I'm saying? But when is it actually going? Huh?
I don't know.
Let me ask you this question though, Dwayne. The problem with that is this is the thing about the classism. See, we voted for lesser of two evils. Neither one of them.
I mean, we
are
did,
looking
but
out
I mean, but
but this is what I was trying to explain. This is what I was trying to explain to the supporters that Joe ain't the answer either. There is no answer. Like you said, when everybody, all hoods ain't the same. The hood in Chicago ain't the same as the hood in Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? They're not going. Although you may see similarities, but they don't all have the same problems. So the murder rate in Chicago, what they say Dallas is doing what's right now. I mean, you know, you just.
I disagree with you. What you saying?
I mean, you can disagree. I don't really care, but at the same time, you know,
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Brenton. I disagree with what he's talking about.
I mean, we need to
you got somebody that's not there for. You do got two vastly different politicians here, two vastly different candidates, and you're sitting here saying that neither one of them are better than the other, and I just totally disagree. When you got somebody like Joe Biden sitting listening to black people speak to him about the demands of what they want to see done, and actually trying to fulfill those promises.
Trump did that.
You're talking about two totally different candidates here.
But we ain't finished with the clips though. See, this is what I'm leading up
to.
He's
sitting there listening to these people, right?
It do matter because it's.
Okay, so he's listening.
Have you seen the appointments that's already come out though? Already, he's already making appointments.
Wait, okay. You know what? You making a great statement. Producer, running the clip so I can show him something. You're right. He has made appointments, but I'm gonna show you us. Watch us. Watch what we do.
My colleague Kristen just said, the work of the Justice Department and federal civil rights enforcement, frankly, has never been more important.
I was one that said to you, President-elect, that I wanted to see a black woman as vice president. You said, I hear you, Al. And you ultimately came there. I had nothing to do with it, but I said that. So I will say to you, I'd prefer a black attorney general. I would say the least, though, is we should have an attorney general that has a proven civil rights record. On-the-job training on civil rights will not do it this time. We need somebody that can establish that they've dealt with civil rights issues and they know what they're doing, because we're in an era that we've not been in before with the pandemic and these huge amount of cases, one right after.
President-elect, you've mentioned more than once how the black vote saved you in your races in the Senate in Delaware. You've talked about your friendship with Mouse. We are now saying the black community have stood up in this election cycle. Let's not suffocate the black vote in Georgia and make sure we send the right message, because the success of this administration will be the ability of the Senate to confirm your nominees. We have an opportunity here, and we want to make sure we seize upon this opportunity and allowing for the input necessary. 10 more appointments to go. A lot of people in our community are getting a little anxious because they are not seeing enough of the progress they thought they would have seen at this point. Let's not disappoint them, and let's not get to a place where voters in Georgia begin to second guess.
Okay, let me respond. I've got to go. Let me respond. There's a lot to respond to here. Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay, number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it. I mean what I say when I say it. I'm the only person who's ever run on 3 platforms that I was told could not possibly win the election, and I never ceased from it. One was on restoring the soul of this country because of what I saw happen in Charlottesville. That was it. No one else was talking about it. The words of presidents matter. Nobody else, no progressive, was talking about it. I did. My son Bo used to have an expression. He'd say, remember, Dad, home base. It ain't worth the job if I can't say what I believe. I didn't want to run this time. I ran this time because of the racist son of a gun who was president of the United States of America. That's why I ran. And you'll remember, a lot of you told me talking about the soul of America was going over people's heads. They didn't know what we're talking about. The words of a president matter. What a president says matters. And you've never seen me shy away. In the middle of the debate, I called him a racist. In the middle of the debate with him, I took on white supremacists. I'm the guy that took on every single time somebody was threatened in this country. The only white boy you know who did it, period, out there, every single time. So look, all I'm saying here is, guys and ladies, we're on the same exact page, the same exact page. We talked about.
Getting a little
Hold on. This is us. You see what he said? Don't disappoint us. Do you think that man heard anything they had to say positive, and he come with "Don't disappoint us"? Madison, or is Joe Biden already disappointing us? Like Dr. Walter said, he's not even president yet, and we're already disappointed. What's up, y'all?
I would say so. I would say that we're allowed to have a spirited family debate. Now, we're allowed to have a spirited family debate, and yes, it did get a little spicy, and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I would have been much more concerned if he hadn't, responded in a passionate way. We don't always have to agree with each other. The people on the panel were like, "Hey, this is what you need to do." I mean, they came at him, and he came back at them. This is respect. This is how you talk to people who at least you can have a robust debate with. The bottom line is, okay, if all else fails, here's what we know about politics and about politicians. You absolutely have to listen to your constituencies if you intend to stay
elected.
Well, he don't. But he doesn't plan on doing a second term. He doesn't plan on doing a second
He may
term.
not, but
No,
what
we don't know that. He hasn't openly said that.
What
Yes,
he
he
does
did.
in his term is going to inure to I have my opinions about who's going to be next, but I'm not going to get into that. But what he does or does not do is going to inure to the next person who comes along. Now, here's the bottom line. Again, as I said before, Joe is a white man of a certain age. Okay, and he's not out here in these social media streets like the rest of us. People dragging him when he needs to be dragged.
That's right.
But he is going to learn
today.
He's going to learn, and I'm sure that we have a vice president that's going to make sure he understands. And you can't do this and you can't do that. You got to make sure that you're doing this and that, and you can't come off with people like this.
That's going to be a problem, though. See, these old white men ain't used to being controlled like that. That's not how it's been since Washington.
They're not, but he's gonna have to get used to it though.
That's right.
She's not gonna let it. No, but see, here's the problem. He needs her. He needs her. Straight up and down, and I'll be 100% with you. He needs her, and the reason he needs her because she understands more than what he think that she does understand, and she'll be able to keep him in perspective of what's going on out here in the Black community. The panel.
I agree that the panel could have been more, had operated with greater specificity. There was a lot of jargon. There was a lot of political speak. There's a lot of the normal stuff that was being said.
Same old.
I would say though that I think if there's one takeaway from that panel, and it was that they were making demands that he place people of color, Black people, in positions of influence and power. And if that is all he does, I think that is incredibly important. Because as I said before, when you come into a position of power, you're bringing your lived experience with you. It is not two separate things. And so I can't make a decision as a leader. I can't make a decision that's separate and apart from my experience as a Black woman. It's not possible. So everything that I'm coming in, when I come up with solutions to problems, it takes into consideration my lived experience as a Black woman. I can't separate.
What can I say?
Okay, so Doc, let me ask Dr. Watson, Ricky, and then I'm gonna let you chime in. Are you already disappointed at what Biden is doing? And before you answer that, I want to ask you. I want to emphasize this point. He made a statement. He said, "Y'all want me to put Black people as number one." But what y'all fail to realize is if I put them out as number one in every category, Yeah, yes, he did. You got to watch the whole video because he said sometimes you're going to see somebody else number one, and then you may see somebody of color number two, right? Where he said you may see Attorney General be. He didn't say this, but I'm just saying in his statement, he said you may see them be Hispanic, but then that means that the deputy Attorney General may be black. They still have power. But he said, but you talking about I'm disappointing you, Dr. Walter? Are we already disappointed?
I think his response was a automatic reaction if you feel like you've been attacked.
Right.
It was an automatic response because he felt like he was being attacked coming from that direction from people who have been our voice. Now this is not just anybody. These people on that panel have been the voice of Black America for years, whether they're speaking about voting rights, whether they're speaking about policy, whether they're speaking about whatever. Al Sharpton, all of them, whether it was Black men and women being shot and killed by police officers, these people have been on the front line. So him giving them that voice spoke a lot because to be uncomfortable, as my sister said, that was an uncomfortable position to be in. To be,
well, I mean, he has to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I mean,
well,
that's,
I mean,
y'all
that's
not
the
upfront.
nature of
And
the
then
office.
and then on top of that,
not really whether he's comfortable or not. It was the fact that he opened himself to dialogue.
That's right.
Dialogue that haven't happened in among, I mean, in years. I mean, I don't care if we had a Black man in the White House, he was locked down by both the House of Representatives and the Senate and the court. So even some of his executive orders were challenged and nullified just because. Remember what was a guy said in the on the floor of him giving a very, very important speech.
You lied.
Yeah, State of the Union.
And so Obama never received the respect that he should have received. This man, who we are relying on to be our voice, he can't go back and recap those 8 years that Obama was in the White House. We have a different House of Representatives, different Senate, a whole different political climate. But how do we get it moved forward? He's got to be able to give ear to those who are representing us. No, will they be able to represent every fragment part of our society? Absolutely not. But for the whole, speaking something that you and I won't get a chance to say.
And what's so funny?
That's what I mean by being comfortable.
Go ahead.
But that's what I mean by being comfortable, being uncomfortable. I mean, he's comfortable in the position because yes, he's a white man with privilege, and he's been in politics for almost 50 years. We got that. But now he has to be uncomfortable seeing the dirty truth of what is really going on within the community. And no, you can't always put people, like you said, I mean, if I put this person first, then I got to shortchange somebody else. I mean, honestly, we're never going to be happy as people because we want everything, you know what I'm saying, the way we want it.
But however, I don't understand the concept of us being first. This is America. This is America's president. So he has to represent all of us. Not just
right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you can't just necessarily. Oh well, I'm gonna put every Black person in a position of power. They're gonna be the main person. No, it's.
I didn't think what they're saying is we want the cabinet to be a representation of America as a whole instead of just being this white only like mostly Donald Trump had. And let me say this: it's funny, and I can remember having a dialogue with Brenton Lamar. I think. Most of us was on the panel as we were talking about months before Joe Biden became president-elect, when we knew he was the nominee of the Black community holding him to the fire, right?
Yes.
And we really were strong on that. Like we cannot. I mean, let's be honest. Joe Biden would not be president if it wasn't for us, right? I think Dr. Walter said it. If it wasn't for Black people in Georgia, Black people in Arizona, Black people in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin,
Nevada, Utah,
Michigan, they came out and drove. And so we was having this conversation of the Democratic Party taking the black vote for granted, and we was really
Ricky.
talking about how we need. And here we are, and for some reason we're now being too demanding. I don't get it. It's like, well,
Ricky,
I want to add too, though, that of the appointments that Joe Biden has made a suggestion that he wants to make, it has been very diverse.
It really has.
It's been a
very
beautiful,
diverse.
It's been an incredibly beautiful representation of the diversity of our country. We have someone he wants to be the Secretary of Defense, black man. That would be a first.
Exactly. Retired
We've got, you know, the labor
Hispanic
department.
women on there.
We've got
so where did disappointment come from, though? These people said
you're gonna be disappointed
because they wanted an all black cabinet, which I don't even want.
That's right. That's right. Right.
But that's the problem. That's the problem with this now. We won't.
I really feel that Joe Biden's reaction in that last clip was warranted because the people that he has put forth as saying, I want this person in this position and that person in that position, it has really been a refreshingly diverse group of people across racial and ethnic groups, across sexual orientations. I'm seeing a true representation of what our country actually looks like. And I don't remember any president.
Or Dr. Walker,
a guy who's same-sex marriage in a cabinet post.
That's right. People
name Buddha judge.
But watch this, right? But watch this, y'all. This is my problem. We have now opened a new can of worms, right? Where everybody is not going to get everything they want. And then what that says is that everybody's not going to get
it. And that's fine. You're not going to get everything you want.
This is not new.
But that's what I'm saying. But
let's take back. This is not new. This has been going on.
This is how you negotiate.
This is how it works, right?
No, when it comes to negotiation, you got to put something on the table to get something. You got to be willing to lose something.
This is
how you negotiate.
This should have been done before.
When two people are negotiating, one person puts a price, the other person puts another price, and then you sort of haggle it down.
But yes, you're right. But I'm gonna tell y'all something that's the problem with black people dealing with politics. The problem with us is our aggression and our demand. And what y'all say is uncomfortable. I'm telling y'all, if don't nobody listen to me, white people don't like to be embarrassed, right? That was one of the things we were talking about with Kamala Harris.
I mean, but it's
when they come in, hold on, but this is the problem. When they come to him and they say, "Don't disappoint us," you see how he responded, and that was tempered.
No.
Man, he told Kamala, he said, "I know you think I'm crazy, but that's okay." He was mad, and you know why? It was because how
we got a white racist in the White House right now.
I think Joe is racist. To be honest with
well, and he could be. Like I told you, he doesn't have a stellar history. He passed laws and voted for legislation that was not pro-black in his past history. But that was that time where we were in a different time and place. I think right now, when we begin to look at where we are today, we get a chance to put. When have we been able to talk to somebody out there?
We had Obama.
Well,
Trump.
This isn't 2008. And
this isn't 2008.
There's so many things.
And we didn't really have him.
Here's the reality. It's not 2008. And we do have to remember this. Barack Obama, when he was elected president, no matter how you want to slice it, no matter how you want to put it, he was a black man. And he was the first black man elected president of the United States. And with that comes certain amount of hindrances that he was inhibited by. Joe Biden does not. Joe Biden, I said it again, I'll say it again. He's a white man of a certain age, and that carries certain privilege. There are things that Joe Biden will be able to do that Obama would not have been able to do, regardless of skin color, because he's white.
That's right.
Just like a white man can walk in and doesn't get stopped for going into a store. Privilege has its privileges, and there are things that Joe Biden could say on the campaign trail that Obama could not, because as soon as Obama did it, the black people trying to do everything. If Obama
Yeah.
had come out and done certain things while he was president, he would have been castigated for it. The privilege of being a white old man in the position of president, actually part of the reason why Joe Biden can appoint Black people as the heads of these cabinets, the reason he can do that and Obama couldn't, was because if Obama had done it, they would have been like, oh, he's just doing everything for the Black people. But Biden can do it because he's white and because he's male, and he can come
I
and
agree
say,
on.
I need to have a cabinet that represents this country, and if you don't like it, too bad.
He's the
It's
reason
a book.
Obama became president. He was the
It's a book.
balance.
Right.
Exactly.
It's a
But if
book.
they don't win Georgia,
Absolutely.
if they don't win
So we don't
Georgia,
talk
it is
about
gonna be
privilege, just talk
2008.
about how it affects us on the positive and on the negative. We cannot compare Biden to
There's
Obama.
a book. There's a book
Something
about
you're
Obama.
talking about from us is done by the white privilege, just not in public. Their voices are heard, and you can see that by the legislation, by the silence and the complicity of not passing laws and things that would be in our best interest. Mitch McConnell not allowing legislation to go forward. I mean, don't you think they're on the golf course and in those rooms negotiating what they want? And matter of fact, if you read the last bill they just passed, there's a lot of junk in there that shouldn't be in there that the white folks wanted. It had nothing to do with Black folks or people of color or people who are poor, people who are disenfranchised. Nothing whatsoever to do with that.
And
okay.
I agree with you on that because, like, myself, myself being
Ricky. All right, let's go.
Myself being a commander, I'm the only Black commander across two battalions. Everybody else is white. Not saying that my counterparts are not as good as I am, but I have to work 20 times as harder just to get my voice heard. But they can go in there and say whatever they want to, do whatever they want to, even dress however they want to, and it's okay. And like Madison said, that's the privilege that's been around for centuries. I have to do 20 times more just to get one thing done, as opposed to them saying 20 things and 15 of those things will get done and be accepted. And it's fine. It's perfectly fine. So, we're mad about a lot of things, but okay, whatever at this point.
Let's go to Rick. Okay, Rick, what you got?
I was going to say there's a book, and I can't remember the name of it, but it talks about how polarizing Obama was as president just because of the color of his skin and how he was held back, how he restrained himself from even having a dialogue or open up conversation about certain things that were going on in the Black community. Because look what happened the moment Trayvon Martin thing happened. White people on Fox News are calling him racist, right? It didn't matter what he said. If it had something pertaining to the Black community, he was favoring the Black community over any other community. And so the book details that and talks about his polarization because of his skin color. And second, I just appreciate the transparency of this meeting. A lot of these meetings happen behind closed doors. We don't get a chance to see what's been said. And now we got something on tape, concrete, that we can kind of hold him to the fire of. Like we said, the specifics wasn't there, but there was some, holding these things matter. Having these transparency matters. And so when we look at it in that direction, look, there was a mass shooting happen, and Donald Trump went on air and said one thing about banning this and banning that, and got in the room with the NRA, and everything came down and everything changed the next day because these backroom deals happen and money get exchanged. And look, the NRA, they are big supporters of the GOP. And so when they ask for something and they want something to be done, it's the exact same thing when you got Black people doing the exact same thing, asking the president-elect, listen, we want this, we want that. It's nothing different.
Okay.
I just think when we do it's looked as aggressive. It's nothing new. It's what happens.
Okay, so you got something, Lamar?
Yeah, I got something real fast. Be short and sweet. I just feel
and I got two questions.
I need Biden. I hope Biden has the same energy that Trump has. Otherwise, none of these requests are going to happen because he's going to just keep playing politics, and that
Biden has aged in the last
old school stuff. He's old school Washington, right? He's been there. He's old school Washington. But
That's
if
right.
we look at how things have been going with Trump, they not playing. McConnell not playing that game no more. They playing a strong arm game. Whoever's in control is in control. He needs to take advantage of if he gets the House and the Senate. But I don't think he will.
Look how many black folk you have in the Senate. It's been that way
None.
forever.
One. And the one lady, black lady gone.
That's not anything different.
No, you got Tim Scott. You got
more. But Lamar, I disagree with Joe Biden when he said he's not going to do executive orders. If they don't win Georgia, the executive orders is going to have to happen. That's how you're going to get stuff passed.
But he said he's not going to do them. But he said he's not going to do it. That's right.
Right. And he said that he wasn't going to run for president either. And now he's a president.
Well, no.
So,
Okay, so
I wouldn't
y'all
put a
getting
lot
into
of
my
stock in that.
Yeah, y'all getting into my questions. I got 2 questions before we get out of here. Watch this. These are my 2 questions. I'm gonna let everybody answer. Number 1, do y'all really think Joe Biden is gonna let the black folks treat him like a puppet? I heard Madison, and you're right. You're right. But Obama couldn't get what Biden get done. But do y'all really think that Biden gonna let us manipulate him into doing exactly what? Well, yes, it is. That's manipulation. When you want to coerce somebody into doing what Barack didn't do. And watch this.
Official.
Hold on. And secondly, is the people that's not gonna get what they want from the black community gonna be okay with the black community that is gonna get what they want, or is there gonna be some infighting? See, we're opening up this really Pandora's box of problems that we have in our community, where this is about classism, right? Those people are disappointed because they don't have an all-black band. We just said here, it's not a problem. Listen, we'll take what we can get. They're going to be puppeteers that's pushing. That's what politics is. It's about negotiating and who has the more leverage. But are we going to be okay with that? What you think, Lamar? Are we going to be all right with that?
I don't think black folk as a whole are going to be all right with that. I don't think
we're trying to
Biden's going to allow black folks to treat him as a puppet.
Black people
Nor do I think he's going to do any of the stuff that he's saying he's going to do. I just don't see it.
He's not trying to get
Dr. Walter, that's what they asked for. They asked for the Attorney General.
Those people on that panel was not asking for him to fill every.
They wasn't.
It ain't but 15 cabinet positions. You can't give all of them to black folk.
But they were disappointed.
I mean, see, but you gotta, it don't make sense at all. You ain't got that. You got the 15. And so those people who are coming in, those people who are coming in those leadership positions, like my sister says, have the power to hire other people who will be in those positions to help move policy forward. To have an ear at Biden's they can have Biden's ear. So it's not just the 15 cabinet members. Okay, there's a lot more. There's hundreds of thousands of people that works for our executive branch of government that are behind the scenes and doing all the legwork and the research and all that kind of stuff. Those positions are as important to me.
Chief staff should have been black.
A person in that cabinet sitting at the White House because they
Dr.
have
Walter.
divorce.
If that's the case, hold on, man.
This is a false
I'm gonna let you have it. Hold on, man. I'm gonna let you have it. Dr. Walter, I'm gonna ask you a question. If you think that they didn't want an all-black cabinet, then what did they mean by being disappointed?
I did not hear them say that they wanted every cabinet.
I didn't hear it either. That's
what
ridiculous.
Y'all. Then what do you think they're disappointed about?
Here's the reality. Nobody sitting in that room. Nobody sitting in that room was born last night.
That's right.
All of the people in that room are politically sophisticated. They've been around for more than a moment. Biden been around for more than a moment. All of those people are politically sophisticated. Nobody sitting there believes that they're going to get everything that they want. That doesn't happen in politics. It doesn't happen in politics. And nobody is sitting at that table in that panel had that expectation. I promise you. Biden is not going to give them everything they want. He's going to do some of it where he finds it appropriate and what he can do. And he's already doing that. And there are some things that he is not going to be able to accommodate as part of whatever it is that you're suggesting that they want an all-black cabinet. I didn't hear that, but I do hear them advocating very strongly for black people in cabinet positions. Some of that's going to happen. He's already done some of that in terms of made indications of who he wants to be placed in position, and some of that's not going to happen. And nobody sitting in that panel expects every single question, demand that they have, every request that they have to be fulfilled by President-elect Biden. They don't expect it, and they're not going to be disappointed. They're going to say, "Okay, this is on balance. This is really good. This is a negotiation tactic. This is not complicated. This is commonplace in politics, and this is where you start. You ask for the whole shebang.
That's right.
And then you get part of what you wanted to get. But if you
Negotiation
ask for
101, right?
it's negotiation 101.
But it's not negotiation.
But you know, but if this is how you think, when you, I want to know how you negotiating your next job when you go for your job. You know, you always give the high number.
They were not negotiating. They were making their voices heard. He gave them an ear to hear. He gave them voice. So he did it transparently. So there was not really any negotiation going in there. You know, negotiations don't go out out there in the public like that. That's going through the back doors and the back rooms and all that. So I hear what the people who were on the panel were saying, but they, believe me, they had a particular reason and a motive to be there too.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's exactly right.
They had an agenda that they were trying to fulfill, and I was proud of Biden to step back up and put it back in their faces and say, "You guys step back. Look at what I'm doing. I'm doing more than any other president have tried to do. I am taking the hits. I'm taking the blows, and I'm good with that." See, his life, he don't have another 15, 20 years to live,
Tony,
or to be valued. He's leaving a legacy. He's leaving whenever that we don't have that many presidents, 45 presidents in our history. You leave a legacy, and that's what he's doing. He's leaving a legacy.
As a leader, you take, you know, as a leader, you come into a position and you take everything in. You sit back and you take the first 45 to 60 days, and you're gonna hear problems, you're gonna hear gripes, you're gonna hear complaints, you're gonna wish that, you're gonna hear, well, can you do this? Can you do that? Make this happen, make this happen. You have to sit back and you have to literally take the most important things that you can affect immediately and then begin to change them one step at a time. I think that the representatives, you know, that panel, they said what they need to say. They voiced their opinions, you know, from their constituents, from wherever they represent. And now it's just up to the point, and now it's just up to the presidential team, meaning the president and vice president-elect, to sit back and take the things that are being brought to the table in our community and begin to work the problem one by one by one. Yes, President-elect Joe Biden has to be comfortable being uncomfortable. He's gonna get hit with heat rounds that we've been wanting to throw for however long now. And as he begins to work his way through the problems, he's gonna deal with things that even his counterparts, white people, that are not gonna agree with, because it represents black people. Oh, we don't like that. But okay, that's politics. Like Allison says, it's negotiating. You're
Can
gonna
I
have
say
to
something?
start high.
It was so funny is
and then you got to come back low.
And we forgetting the position that he filled first was his vice president.
I'm gonna say,
with the black woman.
It doesn't matter.
It's optics.
Over with now.
But it's all optics. Can I get
it's over with now. He's back.
It's all
He's
optics.
What you saying, Lamar? It's all optics?
It's optics.
Go ahead, Lamar.
Biden already knows what he's going to do. Presidents get opportunity to do one major thing in the time that they have. He's been doing this. He knows more about this than most people that have been running. He's been VP. He's been in the Senate. He knows what he's doing. He's already know what he's going to do. He's listening for optics. That's why they made it public, which is not a normal thing. He wants everybody to believe. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to listen to the blacks, which is probably what he said behind the scenes. I'm going to listen to the blacks. I'm going to listen to the Mexicans. I'm going to listen to all of them. But I already know what I'm going to do, and I know I only got time to do this one thing, which we ain't figured out what that is yet.
4 years. That's all I got.
All right, let me have it, Mr. Producer. Okay, so listen. All right, this has been a great conversation. I want to say I appreciate everybody for articulating, and I'm giving y'all time to get y'all final thoughts together. So get ready. Right. So this is what I want to say about this whole thing, right? I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate them making it transparent. I would encourage every person that watches this show to go watch the whole video. It's an hour and 40 minutes long, but it was very insightful about what is going on, what's about to take place, and the dynamics of it. I agree with everyone on this panel about the politics of it all, right? Nobody's going to get everything they want. But at the same time, they're trying. I'll give them that. But what I am seeing, that I don't think we're not talking a lot about it, but next year we're going to be talking about this, is this brewing or this infighting that's going to take place in our community, right? About what is more important and what is not more important. I want y'all to know Joe Biden is not the savior. He won't be saving this country, right? He got 4 years. If he lying, say he ain't gonna run 8, but he got 4 years to try to do something. And all I think he's gonna really be doing is doing first black general, first this, first gay this. Okay, you're gonna get a lot of firsts out the way. Congratulations. But he's not gonna fix our problems, y'all. You know why? Because they cool with giving us $600 from a whole a community of class,
GOP for that
higher
one.
class people.
Thank the GOP for that.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, listen, if he don't win in Georgia, y'all can thank everybody because you ain't getting it, right? It's gonna be the last time y'all getting for 2 years. So all right. So listen, we're gonna start with ladies first. Final thoughts. And I want to again appreciate everybody for being on. Thank you all. It was a great conversation. I'm ready to have more because y'all gonna get in trouble. I know y'all gonna get in trouble because y'all cuts up. Y'all got a whole left side that's ready to. They don't think they're gonna vote Pelosi in. They look at it, they already cutting up. So, all right, madam, go ahead, and then we'll go right around.
Well, I want to say that you're right. In some ways, Joe Biden is not a savior for this country. We are. Mm-hmm. Every single person who has the ability to vote has the power to save the country, not just with who we elect at the federal level, but who we elect in our local communities and in our states. I think more than ever before, we can see how important the people who we place in our state and local governments how important it is to place the right people in those positions. And so what I would encourage everyone to do is to get involved in your local politics, get involved in your state politics, find out who's on your school board, find out who's in your city and county commission and in your state house, and get active there. You have incredible power there. And if you want to become more involved in a systematic, three-dimensional approach to power acquisition for the American left, please come and visit me at peopleoverpacs.org. Let's get this thing. Let's take it back. Because, we're going to be back here in 4 years. We're going to be back here in 4 years. And we don't want to do that again.
In the words of my brother, if he don't die yet. Go on, Go ahead, Rick.
Oh, I hear you. That was good, Miss Madison. I just want to say, look, the most pressing thing that's going to be happening when Joe Biden take office is the coronavirus. And so I think a lot of things that even our community, what we want is going to take a back seat, even though I think, getting a hold of the coronavirus is going to really help the Black community a lot. The races in Georgia do matter. And so and I agree with Brenton, Mitch McConnell, and I'm not going to play that old Washington game. It's a different Washington. And so I think that he's going to have to really grow a pair and come at it with some gusto here. And if they don't win these runoffs, and get ready for a big fight, because you're right, it's going to be a big fight in Washington if you got separate governments here. When you have a Democratic House and a Republican Senate, it's going to be hard to get anything done. So yeah, I think that the most pressing thing though is going to be the coronavirus. Once you see that happen, we'll see, what happens. If you have the House and the Senate, then maybe you can get a lot of your agenda done.
All right, Dwayne, what you got, man?
Again, my thing is, being a leader, you gotta take everything one day at a time. President-elect, Biden has a long road, a long 4 years ahead of him. And yes, the coronavirus is going to be the most important topic. And also, there's a new version of the coronavirus that has started to spread in the Asian Pacific countries and started to make its way over to the United States. So that is going to be a very pressing topic, especially in the African American community. So we have to understand that we're not going to be number one. Yes, we have things that we want to be done within our community, but hey, it's going to take time for it to get done. President-elect Biden has to just understand that, hey, what you said you're going to do, you're going to have to step up and you have to do it. And just be prepared for a fight, like Ricky said. If the House and the Senate gets divided, it's going to be a fight, and we're going to be back to square one again. And let's hope in the next 4 years we get this thing fixed and we can roll.
All right, Dr. Walter.
Well, I appreciate everybody. This has been a very provocative conversation and interesting. In 1963, Kennedy had asked Congress to pass a comprehensive civil rights bill, but it induced something that our nation had seen. It induced resistance to desegregation and the murder of Medgar Evers. And it was a year later before that law was passed. After he was assassinated, the discrimination. It was prohibited, and people had the right to exist, race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. And we're still fighting that fight today. So I don't want to ever discount those people who've been on the front line, because we are still fighting. Black Lives Matter, all the movement that you see going on, the voting rights, the gerrymandering going on. We're in a fight. And so I think Biden has a very, very important voice. He has the bully pulpit, but he also has a person right behind him with just as much power, almost as much power anyway, and that is our vice president-elect. And I think it's time for us to stop, with all the, attacking each other, and say, let's unify. Let's move these movements forward. We're still fighting the same battle. I was born in 1963. I know what my parents talked about and what they experienced. We haven't moved that far ahead of that. We're still fighting the same battles.
That's right. So, amen to that. All right, my brother, President and CEO, have at it, Lamb Levity.
I think I'll be calculated like Obama. I think that Ice Cube had the right spirit. You are not
Obama.
You have the right spirit when it came to wanting to start the negotiations before voting this gentleman into office. I think that now you're behind as Black folks in trying to negotiate, because he don't have to do anything, and he's not concerned about a second term from what I heard. Also, I think one of the problems that Ice Cube ran into is that all Black folks don't want the same thing. We're not a monolith. Black folks can't come together in some instances sometimes. I'm sorry, we don't like to hear it, but I think it's true. So who is Biden going to listen to? Is there a single voice from Black folk on what we want? I guarantee if we get another 10 people on another Black panel to talk to him, he's going to hear totally different stuff. Maybe a few similarities, but you're going to hear different stuff. Be at me, Brenton, and for a few other people I can name, you're going to get different stuff. So I think it's going to be very difficult. I think he already knows what he wants to do, and he's going to listen for optics, but I think he has blinders on as it relates to what he's going to do. He's going to play politics like he's done for the past 4 or 5 decades. That's all I got.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, I appreciate everyone. Let me have it, madam. Listen, y'all, this is the reason why we do what we do, right? We are learning how to articulate our points of view. One of the biggest mistakes we ever make is never learning from things that we've done wrong. And as a people, what we have done wrong is at least 2 things. Number one, we have not taken action on the freedoms that we have been given in this country. We have taken advantage of them. If your vote don't count, find you another country, right? If your vote don't count, well, then stop taking them checks. Okay, that's number one. Number two, we have got to learn to work together within our differences, right? We will not get this done. Although we have given credit to ourselves for making Joe Biden win, that don't mean we're going to get everything done without them. So we got to keep that in mind, right? We got to stop fighting those that don't look like us. And we got to stop fighting with everything we got about those that didn't vote like us. Because guess what? We're going to need them too. So as we begin to continue to educate ourselves, right? That's what this platform is doing. We're going to educate ourselves and we're going to speak clearly. We're going to articulate. And if we disagree, good. Everybody had great points tonight, right? But at the same time, somebody learned something, right? No, I did, right? I learned you can agree with me. So listen, y'all. I'm just teasing. Hey, man, this has been our show tonight. I appreciate you guys. Listen, I won't see y'all till next year, right? But we're going to hit this thing running. All right? So on behalf of everybody on the panel tonight and me, Brenton, we will see y'all in 2021. We are out of here. Peace.